Hi there, this is Bob Menzies coming to you from Vancouver Island in Canada with another episode of the Songwriter Life. Today I'd like to share with you how I wrote a song in 2013 and recorded it. And it basically takes you back to the fall of 1970 in my lost hippie days, traveling from Vancouver, British Columbia to California in search of what sadly was already disappearing. The song is called San Francisco. Now, I would like to ask you if you are watching to hit a button or even better, make a comment and let me know where you're coming from. I'd really appreciate that. That would be nice. And if we've never met before, my name is Bob Menzies. I'm a singer-songwriter, and writing songs is my passion. It's what gets me out of bed in the morning. I've been doing this for about 6 years now, and besides getting incredible satisfaction from just doing it, I've also been lucky enough to get airplay on places like iTunes and Apple Music and Spotify, and even some publishing royalties from radio airplay. Again, not enough to buy a boat or anything, but just satisfying in any case. My hope is that you might get something out of this that might fan your creative fires or spark them in some way. And if I achieve that with even one person, I'll be very happy. So let me talk about this song. The song is called San Francisco. And it came out of a time, I guess, you go back to the fall of 1970, I was camping in Stanley Park. And of course, you weren't allowed to park at that time. And if you've ever been to Stanley Park, it's awfully beautiful. But somehow along the way, we were getting the attention of the constabulary, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and even with their horses, believe it or not, we were starting to tramp through the woods and make us feel a little unwelcome. At the time, the mayor of Vancouver was a fellow called Tom Campbell, and he was quite famous for contacting the mayor of Seattle, and he said to him, you keep your hippies and we'll keep ours. How about that? So you can imagine that the reception. In any case, somebody had a car and they said, well, listen, why don't we go to California? That's where things are going on. And this whole Laurel Canyon thing that was going on with Joni Mitchell and David Crosby and Neil Young, and the music that was coming out of California was pretty cool. And but plus the whole movement that kind of was centered in San Francisco was pretty cool. So in any case, the song itself is a fairly straightforward chord progression. It pretty well goes G, A minor, C, and then back to G throughout the verses and the chorus, and then does change up a bit in the bridge. Now, I've also used a capo here, and this capo is up to the 4th fret, turns it into kind of the key of B, I guess. But really, I wanted to get a little bit of more of a jangly feel that went with the sense of the song. Some of the transition of the peace and love movement to the political and darker drug kind of scene, if you like. So anyways, it opens up like this. It goes. San Francisco is down the way. I can see it inside. I've been waiting for this day. I hope we make it by night. And then we see the Golden Gate Bridge. Now that is a sight to see the first time, especially when you're young. And it's this orange and bright color. I've never seen a bridge that color, and I guess it comes from the rust paint that they put on it or something or other. And that first sight, from there we headed into Haight-Ashbury, That was kind of the first place we hit. And in Haight-Ashbury, things were, uh, I guess, not exactly as we had expected. It was, the Hugh Romney and the farm, that people that were giving out free food and free clothes, that kind of thing was still going on. But there was a darker presence going on as well, and it seemed to be more things going on in some back alleys and so on. But there were also, darker and or also political implications are going on. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But so this second verse went like this. Golden Gate Bridge is orange and bright. The color makes me feel fine. Into the city we seek out the light. Oh, Haight-Ashbury is on fire. So that led to the chorus. And in the chorus, again, I wanted to get across this feeling, this feeling of this change from peacey and lovey to more activity on the political side and more activity on the drug side and that sort of thing. So the chorus goes like this. Summer of love, winter of rain, peace turned to power and back again. We're all confused 'cause someone changed the game. Summer of love, winter of rain. So that song, I think my dog just woke up. That song or that chorus talked again about that part of the juxtaposition, I guess, of this change that was going on. Now, a lot of what was going on was political, and the politics of this particular place at that time. For example, Angela Davis was a professor at either Berkeley or UCLA, and she had been quite active in terms of her speaking. She was quite brilliant. She had a huge afro and smoked a pipe, and she was in jail for some reason or on trial, and who knows, probably sedition at that time it could have been. So in any case, she and Charles Manson was on the loose, and all hell was breaking loose, really. So we decided, well, let's go to Oakland. So because Oakland, there were things going on there. Hell's Angels were there, the Black Panthers, the SDS, Students for a Democratic Society, and I think one of their offshoots might have become the Weathermen going around blowing things up. So there was quite a lot of activity again in that whole area. So we went to Oakland, and so the next verse kind of talks about how we found a crash pad, if you like, and we offered to pay some rent, but when it was one of these old buildings in Berkeley, very cool, and a bunch of people there, and they said, no, just move in, we don't pay any rent, it's all, we're really on a rent strike here. In San Francisco, the law is that they can't throw you out in the winter, you can't be evicted, and this was somewhere, maybe it was getting to be November, something like that. So we went ahead and did that, and moved in there, and anyway, this verse kind of goes like this. Oakland is where the action is at, a crash pad where we can all stay. There's no rent to pay, 'cause it's a rent strike. So find a mattress to lay. Now the next verse talks about these various people that were living around there. Hell's Angels and Panthers, the SDS. We're all here, no room for the rest. And somehow the speed has replaced it all. Everybody is on edge. And of course, the chorus goes on again. Summer of love, winter of rain, peace turned to power and back again. We're all confused 'cause someone changed the game. When somebody dies, nothing is the same. So, of course, things were getting bad with, there was a lot of methamphetamines around. People were really enjoying that, mixing it with barbiturates and you name it. So not the nice, peaceful pot smoking. But in any case, I decided it was time to move on from San Francisco and get down to LA. I knew some people that had moved out to LA from Montreal, and I thought I might look them up. So off I went hitchhiking this time, as you do when you travel with people. They end up splitting up. Everybody's going in a different direction. So my direction was LA, and I met a girl and hooked up with her somewhere outside of San Francisco as we were hitchhiking among hundreds of other people. She had a dog, and the dog's name was Fuck. Well, that caused a bit of consternation when we stopped here and there at gas stations. And we got picked up in a van, a Volkswagen van, no doubt, and a couple of surfboards on the top of it. And when we got in, can you say, hey, listen, chip in for some gas? And no, we actually got this van from a guy. We traded him 1,000 tabs of acid, some sort of story like that. And I said, yeah, well, he didn't care. He didn't want the van anymore, and he wanted the LSD. So of course, they proceeded to pass this around in copious quantities to everybody in the van. So we arrive in LA in Brentwood, kind of a classy little area. And in this area, we were able to go to her house. So when we got into the house, the dog goes running up the stairs, and her three siblings, young girls, are sort of lined up on the stairs, and the mother and the father were there, and then of course she says, "Fuck, come down," and the mother got quite upset with that. But I think he was a dentist, the father, and so on. Anyway, spent the night there, camped underneath on a very plush rug, camped underneath a grand piano. That was kind of cool. So this is where the bridge came in to talk about going to LA. Let's go down to LA. It's time to move along. Let's go down to LA. Put the music, put it on. And that, of course, just led to the final chorus. And certainly by that time, Altamont had taken place, and with that sad tale of a fellow in the audience getting killed. And so, again, the whole song kind of wrapped up as a bit of a finale there, and further adventures in California resulted in further songs, which maybe I'll talk about in a future episode. But I'd really like to thank you for tuning into this and looking at it, and I appreciate it. And it's been a lot of fun. And again, try to like it if you can, and have yourself a good day, and happy writing and happy creative life to you. Bye for now.